Hello, welcome to Nomads with a Purpose. I'm Robyn. I'm the crazy mastermind behind our family's adventures for the last 10 years. And so today I want to talk about why we went back to the rat race. More importantly, why I feel stuck again, the new problems that I'm facing this time, what I'm doing about it, and how all of this can help you live a happier, healthier, and more connected life. Because in the end, I kind of think that's the whole point of having a family and what we're doing to begin with. So, if you are somebody who feels either stuck in your life, you're asking yourself, is this it? Is there more? You want deeper connection and you just want a life that's more fun, then this video is for you.
We're Nomads with a Purpose, a family of 7 that hit the road back in 2015 to chase epic climbs, trails, powder, waves, and bucket list destinations. 10 years later, we're still living the dream. From adventure travel guides to unschooling, RV life, self-development, and family connection, we're here to inspire you to live boldly and defy the norm.
Okay, so if you don't know our story, back in 2015, we moved into this RV right there that you see in the middle. It was a 30-foot, 28-foot, somewhere, a Class C RV. And at the time, you can see this one picture is the kids when we first started. Danny was about 15, and Tatiana, our youngest, in the cute little pink shirt that says "Mommy loves me," was 4 years old. And you could see this, the picture on the other side is us after we'd been living in it for about a year, I believe, maybe 2 years at that point. And, you could see there's not a lot of space. It was really tight quarters. And we literally just lived out of that RV, and we would alternate between RV parks in San Diego, and then we would take these really fast, epic road trips, always in search of adventure. Over the last 10 years, we've done a lot of different varieties, and I'll do other videos on like how we change things up. Sometimes we had really big RVs and we sat still for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. Sometimes we loaded up backpacks and flew to like Europe or New Zealand. But overall, the big thing to keep in mind is that I need room to see my text. So we weren't rich. We weren't trust fund babies. It was all through hard work, grit, sacrifice for many years. We'd have to make money at our brick and mortar, save up a lot of money, and then go chase adventure. We zeroed out our bank account after many of our road trips, like to the point where I saved up 30 grand, said, let's go to Europe for 6 months. And we would land with like a couple $100 left in her bank account. While Victor would say that he loved it and he wouldn't trade it for anything, he sucked at it. It was awful. And it almost destroyed our marriage. And to be honest, it still might. I don't know. This was what I was chasing. To me, this was my good life that I was in search of. For me, some of the just camping in and of itself is really amazing. It puts us in some really, really epic locations. You're grounded in nature. You're away from cities. RV parks, while like a lot of people choose to full-time RV and they, buy this beautiful 46-foot fifth wheel and they live out of an RV park. That's cool, but that was just not my jam. I wanted to be in nature, and more importantly, I wanted to be pursuing my sports. I wanted to be surfing, rock climbing, doing some epic hikes. So that was my good life. Now, as I'm about to explain to you, my good life might not be your good life, but I'm a numerology 36-9. And so my life's purpose is integrity and wisdom, which means working through issues of emotional honesty, perfectionist ideals, so hard, and self-doubt, even harder, to learn to live in accord with wisdom of my heart, to trust my intuition. I'm really good at feeling into like, what is my soul telling me to do? What does my spirit want to do? And jumping and doing it. What I'm not good at is being able to show up here and share my success and my failures. I get caught up a lot of times in worrying, which which I know is probably crazy if you've followed me for a while, I get really worried about like, what are you going to think of me? You're going to judge me. What if I share with you ahead of time what I'm thinking and what I'm going to do and I mess up and I fail? It's really hard for me to go like, oh man, I was wrong, to admit I was wrong. So I'm trying this new hat on because what I found is I don't show up at all because of the self-doubt. And I actually do believe that I have a lot of wisdom to share and I've learned a lot. And when I look back in the rearview mirror of my life, I go, man, I just wish I had been braver to be more vulnerable and expose myself earlier on. So here's me. Enneagram 8, exposing all my weaknesses and also sharing my thought process and how I make decisions. Man, if I had a video of when I was contemplating moving into an RV, that would be so priceless, at least for me, to go back and see like, oh, this is what I was thinking and feeling. I have memory, but at the same time, sometimes we it gets clouded, right? From our negativity bias, which I'm going to talk about today. And man, if I had like a video of what I was thinking and feeling when before I even went to Europe for 6 months, that would have been cool too. So I kind of think that we're on the verge of doing another like big jump into a bigger and crazier version of what we've done before. And so here I am, just being vulnerable, sharing my wisdom. But I do get this voice in the back of my head that says, nobody really cares. Robyn, like, why do you think this matters? And I'm like, I don't know. I think it does. So I'm going to share. I'm not perfect. One of the things about me is like every day I end my day with a hazy IPA. And it's kind of funny because there's such a big movement anti-alcohol these days. And at times, sometimes I think like, it's probably bad. I'm a bad person because at the end of the day, I just love I just love going to the brewery and getting a really good hazy IPA on tap. But sometimes I have to get it out of the can and that's cool too. And the problem is sometimes I have two and then I get trouble sleeping or maybe I get too excited and I say things that I regret. So there's this inner dialogue that because I'm not perfect, my voice doesn't matter. And I think that's important to share because I know that a lot of people I coach have a similar voice. And so my goal with the rest of this video is just to share my numerology 36-9 with you and let's just see where it goes. And maybe at the end of it, if you like this, you can give me a comment and let me know to do more of these. And if not, I'll keep trying. So let's get into it. Here we go. All right, so I got to tell you, we pressed the pause button to reassess my purpose, to reassess like what am I doing in life. In May 2025, when we ended our ski season, which by the way, I did not capture on YouTube nearly enough. We had such an amazing ski season this last year. I'm writing a book, by the way. I'm writing a book about the last 10 years, and I'm sharing with you all the adventures that we've gone on. And I'm also going really deep into sharing what I was thinking and feeling along the way, what I was chasing. But I'm also sharing a lot of my relationship journeys because relationships are a big deal, I think, to a lot of us. And it hasn't been easy, to say the least. It hasn't been easy, but one of the things is along the way, we, started off chasing climbing and surfing. Really, that was the driving force for me to say, hey, Victor, can we live in an RV for 5 months? I wanted to chase mountains too. I wanted to start hiking. I mean, I didn't grow up hiking. And all of a sudden I was like, man, I just love being on the trail. I had just discovered rock climbing. I was only 2 years into my surfing career lifestyle. And it was just such a huge, it was so energizing for me. But then in 2018, I discovered skiing. And I had no idea I was going to love skiing. I am not a good skier at all, but I just love it. I love the lifestyle. I'm all about the wake up in the morning, get fresh groomers, finish my day with apres, being on the ski lift with the people I love, Just everything about it makes me feel so happy. Sometimes the cold gets to me, but that's okay. It's worth the price of admission to just have a ski bum lifestyle. Well, we had an amazing ski season this year because our income it was much higher thanks to my husband. And we stayed in Airbnbs most of the time. And like we stayed in Steamboat Springs for one whole month in a great Airbnb where it made the whole lifestyle just so easy. You wake up, you walk 10 steps to get on the bus drops you right at the gondola. You finish the bus, you walk 2 minutes to the brewery, then the bus picks you up in front of the brewery and takes you back to your nice condo. Like, what's not to like about that? It was pretty cool. And we hit a lot of resorts. I think we hit 13 different resorts over the course of the ski season. I think I got 69 days of skiing in. It was great. It was great. But what's great for me isn't always great for my people. And I love my people. So when we ended ski season at the time, this is a long-winded video. At the time, Danny was trying to figure out his career. And I don't want to go too far deep into that, but I do think that's another video I should do about how we're trying to navigate each of our kids' launch into this world when I don't actually believe in college. I mean, it's not to say that if any of one of my kids said, Mom, I really, really, really want to be a lawyer or a doctor or something that needed a degree, I would 100% support them. Just none of them are like that. None of them have the desire for it. And I don't think that I should be telling them, hey, you guys need to chase this faux safety and security that college is supposed to create for you, when I see a lot of people who go that path and they're not necessarily happy, healthy, or vibrant. Do they have a job that maybe can afford more debt, cars, and lifestyle? Cool. Yeah, maybe it just isn't our path yet. Maybe it will be. So for Daniel, though, he's been chasing a lot of different career choices. And in the process of doing that, I see that it's developing his sense of self. He's testing out different identities. What makes him feel alive? What is he like? What is he not like? Sometimes that is really successful. Sometimes it builds a lot of confidence. Sometimes that is a total failure and it leads to depression. So when we came to bed, we ended up coming to Oregon at the end of that ski season, first for just a month to kind of regroup and pull the family together and say hey, what does everybody need? What does everybody want? Danny was in Eugene, wasn't a good fit. I said, hey, let's come to Bend at least, because I like Bend. Bend has an interesting story for our family too, but save that also for another video. So make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that video, because we have wrecked 2 RVs. We have totaled 2 RVs in Bend. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like the universe wanted me to be here, I think. I thought it was the universe telling me not to come here, but I think it was the other way. It's like, you need to come to Bend for the energy for some reason. So at the end of that month, everybody just said hey, actually, we kept trying to find different rentals, and I was getting frustrated. There were no good houses to rent. Everything was either at a price point I didn't really want to pay for, or the price I did want to pay, the houses were older and musty, and my south node is in Taurus, so I really have, surprisingly, a high, I need a lot of luxuries and comforts, which is surprising considering some of our travel, but I was I just don't want to rent a crappy house. And so we were gave up. I said, forget it. I do not think that this is going to work. Let's go find a house in Salt Lake where, at least for the amount of money that we could rent, it could be a huge house where everyone has their own room, and we have a film studio and a yoga studio, and it would be we could get 4,500 square feet for a reasonable price for our family. And literally the next day, as soon as I surrender, literally the next day, I get a text from a house that I had asked to see but hadn't responded. Hey, do you still want to see that house? And I was at the gym. I'm sure. maybe let's go see it. And so I text Victor, hey, you want to meet me at this house? And he's like, says his famous line to me, what he always says, sure. And here's a tour of the house we found and that we decided to rent as a home base for 1 year. Welcome to our home. So this is our house in Bend. This is our beautiful kitchen where we make food, and it has to stay clean like this for at least 10 minutes a day when everyone's sleeping. Come with me. So here, now Robyn loves laundry. So I have a big laundry room.
It's actually a great thing because Robyn loves laundry and Victor loves mom loving laundry, so therefore it's a self-perpetuating system.
Okay, half bath.
This glass table, which we're gonna hit our shins against so many times.
Tempur-Pedic bed.
It's a bed. It just got a fancy name. Look at this. It's a fancy door. Look at it. Oh
my God.
You know, I was convinced I wanted to put a crimp right here, but I don't think they're gonna let me. Another bathroom.
I don't own enough clothes for this closet, but my goal is by the time we move out of here to fill this closet.
Yeah, I don't think it should
Yeah, that's
happen.
not gonna be possible.
Yeah, look at the shower. Like,
Do you see this? It's got 2 nozzles.
it's the CrossFit of showers, so you can do a workout while you're in here.
2 nozzles. Who needs that? And the lovely outside. Here we go. We'll go through this side.
Oh, okay. They're going this way.
We'll go this way.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate this. We got some excessive circular objects in the house. Because, circular, oh, look at this basket that will probably fill with a bunch of other weird stuff.
Your blankets, your morning blankets.
Oh, yeah, morning blankets.
Okay.
We got throw pillows.
One child doesn't get to eat with us.
It's a really sad looking table when you're used to 7
sad.
plates. This thing, this thing, the entire way, because it's technically a lamp, but it has a lot of excessive little circles and wheels. So we're still trying to figure out how that works.
My favorite part.
Your mom?
Yes. This little fire pit, but don't go outside because I don't want your feet getting dirty.
They want us to wear socks. There's Danny.
Yeah, there's a
We have a tree in our house. How many people can say they own a tree?
How do we own a tree?
Where's our tree?
Isn't that our tree? That's our tree.
Oh, on our
We
property.
can see a tree.
I love because it's like a mix of, it's like you're still in nature. I feel like I'm camping, but in luxury.
It's not camping.
In case I forget where I'm at, I'm in Bend and I ski bachelor.
Don't forget it.
Okay. Tatiana.
Okay, we're also flying down these stairs once while we're here.
Look at this huge bathroom.
Oh, look at me, I'm filming.
Look at how many
Hi.
drawers Tati
Look
can
it.
fill with makeup
I
and
don't wear
skin.
makeup.
Oh no, sorry, not
Hyaluronic acid!
Not makeup. Skin and hair care
I
products.
don't even have that much. I have like 3 objects.
Yeah, but so you can fill it up because, we're going into our single child era.
This is I guess Jiraiya's room.
This is mine.
Can you hold it?
I'm holding it!
This is Jiraiya's, but this is how much clothes he has. 1 drawer probably. So
In his little bed, and he's 6 foot.
he gets the tiny bed.
Because I'm entitled.
It fits.
It's white. We're gonna have to get rid of
Oh,
that
and
bedding.
he's got a
It's white.
flower.
I have flowers. Oh, yes, lovely flowers.
Oh, wait, okay. Go ahead. And welcome to my living room.
This is her living room.
I will be spending much time on that couch and staring at this screen.
Probably been.
Binge watching all of Disney Plus.
And then look here, guys, this little reading nook.
Okay, except there's something very wrong with them.
This is
You
not
have to
comfortable.
slide it out, that's fine.
No.
They slide.
Well, we need to put a rug. We need another rug. See? Jiraiya makes fun of me because I've been buying all these rugs on Facebook Marketplace.
You know what this thing is? This is one of the things that you see on Pinterest, pictures, and it looks super relaxing. You'll have a cup of coffee and look out in the distance, but after a second you'll be like, now what do I do?
But yeah, because look at what happens to your feet.
This is where your dad and I are going to start actually recording on YouTube and the podcast again. And we're going to get a big table here for Tati to sew on.
And I can tell I have a view.
We'll change that picture for
Some people
something.
think that's actually nature. Okay, here's Tati's suite.
I have two different. I don't even have this much clothes. Where am I supposed to put all these clothes?
This could be like somebody's room.
This is bigger than me and Jiraiya's room at the RV. All of my clothes fit in all of this.
I mean, when we lived for 5 years in Momo, our Class C, it was about this much space.
Yeah.
The olden days.
Don't worry, we're not stopping traveling. The reason we're getting to have this home base, we're not living here permanently.
Because
I'm going to for a while, but it's because I miss Danny. I want to see Danny more often. So now we're close, and because Victor needs to be like sitting still because he works so much. So he has his gym in the office.
We have a couple pros and cons of going to Bend. One of them is that Tatiana wants to do more gymnastics, and Mount Bachelor is a really good place to ski, and I want to get better at skiing. We want to play some gigs, so there's some pros of Bend. We'll try to stomach it for a year. This house might be rough for a year, but we'll push through it. So don't worry, guys, we won't die. We'll still survive.
All right, thanks for, tell me in the comments what you think of my house. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's a really nice house. I love this house. I love that it has trees and that it's new and custom. It would be nice if it had one more bedroom because it's a little bit tight when all 7 of us are here, but like I'm about to share with you, not all 7 of us are here all the time. One of the things that with this, why we needed this, besides that the kids need that, I need to help Danny launch. Victor, he likes our RV lifestyle, but he really wanted to punch through to a new level of income, and he kind of did. He finally punched through and needed a little more stability and space to make money. I didn't show it in this video because that video was from when we first moved in, but another video I'll show you. He has the whole garage is his office with a gym, which we can do in our 5th wheel, but it gets tight and it's stressful. And then he works like 6 to 8 hours a day, and he would need all that space in our toy hauler. And then where do I go other than climb mountains and hike? So it was a lot of logistics to deal with. In addition, so I have this picture here of Gabi, Jiraiya, and I going to hike Mount Rainier. That's Mount Rainier in the background of us. And at the time, we went to go do that the week of Memorial Day. And at the time, we had just moved into this house, but I needed, long story short, we failed on that summiting. We got like 800 feet from the top and couldn't do it. We had to turn back, mostly because we had bad shoes, which is kind of a weak excuse. But really, it was just Gabi was getting frostbite on her toes, and I had awful boots. I had bought used mountaineering boots, and it was this dumbest thing. One of the dumbest things, not the dumbest, but one of the dumbest things I've ever done. And it just was so painful. Every step, misery. So we failed that, but honestly, I was exhausted. I think 69 days on the mountain was like really exciting. I think it was also really stupid too. My body was so tired after the end of ski season. And so I needed the comfort to rebuild my chi. And Gabi and I really had to stop and rethink what our next phase of our dream was. We started Nomads. Well, her and I were really the driving force behind this lifestyle to start with in 2015. Then we started, it was her idea to start Nomads with a Purpose. At the time, I was just writing my book, A Playful Life, and I really love my people. I have a lot of codependency tendencies. So when she said, let's start Nomads, I kind of jumped away from A Playful Life and trying to be a health coach, jumped into travel blogging, really not my highest skill set. It's something I can do, but it wasn't necessarily playing up to my best potential. We did that for a lot of years. 2020 came along and we moved into mindfulness. Then I helped Isabelle with making mindfulness fun. Gabi wanted to start Be the Hero at some point with our coaching platform. I kind of jumped back over to that. We ended up starting a lot of things that we never really saw to fruition, including this channel. Gabi was the driving force behind starting this channel, and I am so grateful that she did. It was something that I just could not put on my plate. Jiraiya's kind of helped me with it, but he's pivoted over to working on his Happy Teen mission. So here it is, this beautiful channel with all of our adventures and me trying to decide, like, what do I do with this channel? Well, you know what? I'm really good at coaching. I'm really good at sharing my life story and sharing what I'm thinking and feeling and how I tackle life. And so let's pivot. Let's try adding some of this to the equation. So here's our nomad reset. It was time for us when we got here to Bend to lay all the cards on the table. And I invite you too to, like, what cards do you need to lay on the table right now? What things do you need to evaluate and decide, what are you holding? What are you ready to, like, discard? Okay, this is my example of what I did or am in the process of doing. And it can be for you a good opportunity to get free coaching and to get inspiration and figure out what to do. These were the problems that I had to assess. Victor struggled to make money digitally, and it was causing us to fight all the time. Like, we have totally different expectations out of life. That doesn't mean, though, that we can't be married, that we can't come together. It just means that in a Venn diagram, I think we have had to go through a huge process of separating what is you, what is me, and what is us. And there is a huge victim mindset that Victor carries from his childhood programming, from the Enneagram he has. And there is definitely a victim mindset that I carry with what I mentioned, like codependencies. I don't really talk too much about astrology here, but I might start talking about it because I can see how my moon in Scorpio gets stuck in, like, I won't do things for myself. And so for the very long time, it was, well, I need to do this project with Gabi or this project with Isabelle. Or if Victor isn't doing it with me, if he's not on the same page, kind of this idea that he and I should be on a stage together. And it's taken me like this long to realize, like, maybe I just need to go be on a stage by myself. It doesn't, like, why is that so scary for me? So these overlapping expectations, victim mindset, codependency, tendencies, all kind of just caused a mess, just a big ball of yarn is how I'd say it. That's all tangled up, and we have to pause and say, okay, what's truth? What do we want? What can we do? The other thing is, like, Victor never stepped up to try to have a voice with me on Nomads with a Purpose. He'd kind of come back and, like, expect me to do it on my own and make it successful. And he's probably right in some ways. I should have, but I didn't. And I think that ended up causing a lot of emotions of resentment. And I share that very hard. It's very hard to be vulnerable and go, like, hey, made a lot of mistakes. Didn't have it all figured out. But by sharing it, maybe too, you go, like, a little bit of grace for yourself to be like, not everybody has it figured out. I bet you even Tony Robbins has moments where he's like, has to sit down with his wife and go, like, hey, that last book launch, maybe not my best idea, or I don't know what he would struggle with, but I'm sure he struggles with things too. Gabi and I are both really, really, really good starters, which I already alluded to. We have so many ideas, but we are awful finishers. And one of the things that I've done in the past too is I go, oh man, I need to have a VA to be a finisher. But I chose the worst. Like, I went with the cheapest one out of probably India. And honestly, it was before AI launched to the extreme it did now. I really think that I hired basically a VA company that was testing their own version of ChatGPT, because I got stuck I think I got stuck paying for a robot that wasn't capable. So now I catch that I go, oh man, I really need to do that again, but I have to up level. I have to pay more for a VA that's a finisher, that's an actual human person that I talk to. And so I bring that up because I think a lot of times we make mistakes in our life that because of that mistake, it causes to stay frozen and not do what we need to do. And a lot of this video is about me sharing how I'm trying to work on self-responsibility and discipline, and catching how sometimes these failure points freeze you, and then you don't do what you need to do to fix a problem. The other problems for Gabi and I, we are so guilty of like actually not showing up enough in our business and doing the work. And Ben is providing me an opportunity where I actually have 6 to 8 hours to do work. Like, we were running a business that we would show up 6 to 8 hours a week at. That's not enough. Not in this competitive market between YouTube or blogging or coaching or any of it, being an Instagram influencer, TikTok, any of that stuff. Like, you have to be at it 40 hours a week minimum. And we weren't putting in the time at all. We would much rather be like going and chasing a mountain peak, having a beer, and then trying to squeeze in creating, an email landing page or something in a week. And that's it. It just, when I looked at it, I'm like, this is not going to work. I knew it wasn't going to be work, but you at the same time have to go like, well, shoot, are you going to give up the mountains right now? Give up the lifestyle, or do the work? Another one is I was playing really, really small by using motherhood as an excuse. Many, many fights between Victor. He'd say, you're not making money. And I'd say like, but I just want to be a mom. And while that is true, I think being a mom was my highest growth. My kids are mostly grown. Tatiana is going to be 15 here in about a month. And that doesn't mean she's grown, but this feeling of FOMO, like, I really, really did not want to miss out. I did not want to miss out on like any of their milestones in their development. But at the same time, I was causing unnecessary stress on my marriage because of that. I think I have black sheep syndrome. I think I'm not the only one in my family, but I just taking personal responsibility here. I catch when I look back at the content I've made, and I catch I probably even do it sometimes in this video, too busy trying to prove. The thing is, like, when you defy the norm, when you don't fit in, when you go against the grain, you do feel sometimes like you have to justify yourself, or like nobody understands, or explaining this is why I do it. And sometimes Gabi will tell me, if she rewatches a video like this, like, Mom, stop trying to prove yourself. And I catch it when she does it too. I'm like, stop trying to prove yourself. So it's obviously a theme in our life. And we really just work on be of service. So I'm going to keep, you can train me, you can help me, really trying to figure out, like, I have so much information. I have so much knowledge. It's crazy. I need to show a video of my notebooks, of all of my self-growth notebooks that I have for myself, for my family, that I give to my clients. So much information that sometimes I go, I don't even know where to start. But maybe I was too busy trying to prove myself than just being of service. So let's see if I can do better at that. And the last one was Tatiana wanted to compete in gymnastics. If you don't know, we owned a brick and mortar gymnastics studio for 19 years. It was not a competitive program, however, but we got to raise our kids in a gymnastics facility where they would do gymnastics almost every day of their life. But Tatiana, we closed that when she was only 5 years old. So while she did get to do it often when she was really young, she didn't get the opportunity to do it to the level that her sisters got to. And so that was something that was really a bummer for her. And the only way, gymnastics is the worst sport. Competitive gymnastics is awful because you have to be able to do exactly the compulsory routine at a certain level. And if she doesn't have one thing, like her floor, her back bends are behind, but she can do round up back handspring, back tuck, and layout fulls and all these advanced ones. But it's like, she can do level D, let's say, but because she's missing one thing in level A, she's stuck in level A. So it's a really frustrating conundrum we have, but we're here in Bend and we're seeing if we can work through this. Okay, so what does that cause? You put your cards on the table and you see, like, well, this is causing this effect. In our family, it was causing Victor and I to just repeat a cycle of fighting and blaming, fighting and blaming, fighting and blaming. And I am not going to tell you that we are past that, because there are still a lot of things that we can't punch through yet. Maybe I'll be sharing with you how we do punch through, but there are some things that's just huge sticking points in kind of those same elements of basically, I think Victor and I had that Venn diagram was so overlapped. A me, you, and us was so tightly we're overlapped, and we're trying to pull that apart without ripping it into two separate circles. And I'm really like feel proud of myself though at the same time, and Victor would say that too, that we're like really honestly working through, as opposed to I think most people in our situation would just be like, rip the band-aid and be like two separate circles. And like I said, maybe that is the path. I don't know. I'm just testing it out. I'm writing a book, and I'm tell you how this last chapter finishes. I'm not sure. I really have to, instead of me trying to decide where it finishes, I'm trying to go from a space of, let me just show what imperfect looks like, what testing the waters and being vulnerable just looks like. So one of the things, though, is that because of it, I went and traveled with the kids for a month in July. And I was going to share a little bit about what that is in a second, but it was, in a way, it was great. It allowed me to get my book written. I didn't have the pressure of dealing with like trying to make him happy and trying to figure out what it is he wants and what he needs and what I want and what I need, and all, like, it just was simple. And big part of me sharing that is like, I know there are a lot of moms who are too scared to do what I did. They're too scared to load up an RV or rent an RV or get in a camper van or even just take a tent in the car and just go explore with your kids and just figure out that element first. See what, without the complicating of marriage and money and stuff, like, it was relatively cheap what I did. And it was really, really enlightening. Another effect, though, of the whole thing is I kind of let my voice die out. If you follow us on YouTube, you know I haven't showed up here for a while. I pretty much let my Instagram following just completely disappear. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm just starting at ground zero again. I haven't done any of my email lists. I just stopped working basically for the last, I can't remember, like since before ski season, I think. But in a way, that was good because I stopped trying to force something that just wasn't working. I said, you know what? I just need to pause, breathe, take a break, and let the universe kind of shuffle things back into alignment. Bad thing about that, though, too, was literally right before we moved into this house in Bend, or came to Bend, I thought we had the perfect summer planned. I had everything, every single campground booked, all my favorite campgrounds booked from like the end of June or mid-June through the end of September. And it was like really, I had like the dream year planned, dream summer planned. And on top of it, I had convinced Gabi to sell her awesome 98 Dodge Ram that kept breaking down and to like level up. If you've read the book, Jen Sincero's You're a Badass, I pretty much did that with her. Like when Jen in the book says what car to buy, and she bought the, I think, Lexus or Audi that she wanted. Did that with Gabi. I said, you know what? You need to level up, buy your dream truck. And so we walked into the Ford dealership, put my name on the lease or on the purchase. It's like, buy the truck. Buy the truck that you want. You're going to have it for a decade. This is the lifestyle you dream of. Do it. And literally, like 3 weeks later, we decide not to travel. And so she had this huge truck payment. And we really were kind of in limbo of like, what are we doing? Nomads, be the hero, making mindfulness. Like, where are we? What are we doing? It's just like, you know what? We need a break. Go get a job at a brewery. And so she went and got a job at Deschutes. And the first month, it was awful. It was soul crushing. It was exhausting. And second month in, it was amazing. Gave her like great perspective. I think it helped, that perspective led to clarity. I think same thing with her and I, that Venn diagram got pulled apart a little bit so we could decide like, hey, you have your voice here, let me have my voice here, we'll overlap in this one area. And it was great. I think it's great. We'll see how it works out. I think it was really good because it gave her space, breathing room financially, because one of the best books I've ever read was Big Magic, I think. It talks about how not to let your creativity be your sole source of income, because then it starts to crush your creativity. And I do notice that's what happened for me, at least over the last 10 years. I was really grateful because Victor's always been the breadwinner for us. And so because of that, I get to show up and just create from a space of joy. And I do really good there. As soon as it's from a space of necessity, I don't do as well with it. So that's what I was hoping was going to help her too. And even with living in this house, that's what Victor told all the adult kids, like, hey, I got you guys until next May. I'm covering everything, paying for everything. You guys have this chance to make something happen by next May. But then next May was kind of like their deadline. Like, okay, by next May, I expect you guys to be able to launch. And I think that's a really important thing that we're doing for our family. Danny's, I feel like, is very recentered. We got him out of fight or flight and out of a bad environment. He really loves the service industry. He's really good at serving. He loves bartending. He likes the busyness of it, how like fast paced it is. He was working at Bish's in Eugene and they really screwed him over. It was an awful work environment. The management there was horrible. It was so cutthroat. Everything comes down to finance. It's very manipulative. I would never recommend going to Bish's in general. So it was just getting at, we thought because he was so good at serving the service industry, and restaurant business, that he would be great at sales. And while he could be good at sales, that element of it wasn't good. And in the end, he tested and he's like, no, it's just more that he does not want a desk job. He likes the fast-paced nature of bartending, maybe not the late nights though, because that's been a little bit hard. He's also doing more personal training with Victor now, so that's kind of cool. So that was that was a positive effect. Not all the effects were bad. Jiraiya has launched a Happy Teen TikTok and YouTube channel that I'll try to remember to link below. I think his mission is really good. He's sharing his wisdom in a creative way, which aligns with his soul's purpose. And it's a good thing. It's another great thing for society, how to be a happier teen. We could use some happier teens, right? But it also means I have another entrepreneur in the family to help. And that could be good for me, but it could also be bad because then it can lead me into more codependency tendencies. And then I don't show up to do my goals and my creative outlets. So we'll see how that does. Tatiana absolutely loves her gymnastics and she loves bend in general, which is a huge win too. Isabelle, however, prefers St. George. And while she is here with us now, she does not stay here as long. She was probably going to be here 50-50. So it's like the hard truth of a big family is I gained one child back or grabbed one and had to let go of the other. In the meantime, it's okay. Bend is amazing. I want to share with you a little bit about what I think is really cool about Bend. It has so many trails by rivers. Like I love the fact that within 10-minute drive, 5-minute drive really, but I can be at different rivers and run or hike right by the river. It's so pretty. It's amazing. But also there's tons. The farmers markets here are huge, and you have a farmers market starting like I think towards the end of May, so all of June, July, August, all of September, a little bit into October. Getting well-sourced food is so easy to get. I know a person I get fresh cut salmon from, and another rancher where I get my grass-fed beef from, and they both deliver it to my doorstep. Like, this is pretty amazing, and it's way cheaper. I love Moink. They're great too. We'll deliver and supplement through them, but it is a little bit cheaper to get it locally for me. There are so many great breweries and places to hang out. It makes it really fun, and it's kind of, I'm always torn between wanting to go buy a piece of property where it's more off grid and just have the space to isolate myself. But it is also nice to feel the energy of community, even if it's not me talking to people, and it just feels like it feels vibrant. Just people are out doing things, connecting with. It's a very social town. Volleyball, our family loves to play volleyball together, so we go play volleyball in the park, or we play soccer in the park. We go hang our hammocks in the park, float the river. So there's a lot of things that feel like we get when we go camping, but we can do it day to day and still come home to a nice, huge kitchen, showers, space to store all of our stuff. We have memberships to climbing gyms, to hot yoga, to sauna and cold plunge. You do have, like I said, this small town vibe. Mostly like when you drive, if you've ever been to Bend, everything's roundabouts. So you're rarely sitting in a lot of traffic. You can also, it really does feel like you're driving in a small town. But with that, Bend is extremely socialistic. Personally, that's one of the things that I don't necessarily like about it, but it has helped me be more open-minded because I see Bend helps me embody unity consciousness more. I just see how like everybody's good. Like, yeah, some people have a little bit too extreme ideas on one side, but I could say if I was in other cities that sometimes those ideas are too extreme. So for me, it's just helped me see the plus, and that it's all kind of the same. It's all kind of the same, just wrapped up in different packaging. But that at the end of the day, like we're all just trying to enjoy our life, right? And feel a sense of connection, feel like we're significant in this world. And with that in mind, though, I know where the agenda is trying to take the world, as far as like, that's probably where my cutoff is with this idea of 15-minute cities and trying to make it harder and harder for people to leave their 15-minute cities. It's not that the agenda is about like that you're not going to be able to travel. It's just that life's going to be so hard that you're not going to have money to travel. I do have a hard time with that. I don't agree with it, but I also know that your thoughts create your reality. So I just, to me, go like, well, I've always found a way to keep traveling. However, I just do want to bring it up because it's something you should think about. You probably can start to see that happening, whether for you or for maybe your kids, that life just gets to be so hard, so expensive. That's a big one I see here. Is life's so expensive here that I see most people younger than me kind of stuck. Like all of their needs are met. It is really true. It's like the Charles Schwab, you'll own nothing and be happy kind of lifestyle here. And it's true that I can get anything I want here, but at a cost, at a really expensive cost. And it's hard also to have your own space. Like I think about my kids, if I didn't have a house for them, they'd have to have roommates and get used to like sharing space with people all the time, and having a lot of roommates. And it's like this idea that, oh, well, sure, Amazon will drop whatever you want on your doorstep, or you can get any single beer variety you can imagine. And so much instant gratification, but you lose your individualism a lot along the way. So it's just food for thought. It's just something I'm observing here. It's funny, some of the other things my kids really like. I mean, having a library card is actually like something we really enjoy, because it's just nice to not have to buy more books, because then we have to accumulate more stuff. It's nice to read on an actual book instead of a Kindle all the time. And Jiraiya and Tati just really love that. Like, oh, every week, can we go to the library? Can we get a new book? It's cool. There is some dance. So when Isabelle is here, she loves that there is some community of dance. Gabi enjoys it too a little bit, not as much, but Smith Rock is close. You're only 2 hours to Mount Hood River, which is great things to do. There's hiking, there's mountain biking. Mountain biking whoops is one of our favorite things to do. And the real reason we ended up committing to here is because I do love to ski, and this just makes it easier for this year. I do not think we're going to stay in Bend more than a year, but It's only 30 minutes to Bachelor. I can go ski every day if I want to. And here's why I also feel stuck. Well, routine and monotony gets old fast for me. There's this overriding feeling for me when I sit still too long. Or actually, not even that. It's that I know exactly what tomorrow's going to look and feel like. Now, for a couple days, that's great. For even a week or a month, that can be good because it's kind of what I need in order to create videos or to write emails or send out new Instagram posts or podcast pitches, whatever I do, right? Whatever it is that I do. Um, but at the same time, kind of feel like, uh, is this my purpose? Like, it's okay if I'm stepping to something greater, which I am, but there is also this like, but if I don't do the work, if I'm not disciplined to that work, like life could be like this and it could go by fast, really fast. And I do catch that while we're here because I've been back for an entire month now. And it's like, wow, it's Saturday again. What did I do this week? Whereas when I'm traveling, my days are so defined. A 1 week of travel is like every day is something different, something special, I'd say. Um, so like I do have time for work, but it's not exciting and there's not that much growth because there's not this like sense of the unknown that I'm chasing normally. It's definitely not the depth of nature that I live for. Yes, there's trees and there's rivers and it is pretty, but it is not the grandiose mountains of the Alps that I'm usually searching for. I do feel trapped a little bit in a 15-minute city because while it is a lot of things are close to you to go do like really great hikes, you're talking an hour drive to get into like bigger mountains, much further to get even to surf, 4 to 5 hours drive in really freezing cold water. So there's a lot of activation energy. Whereas when we full-time travel and you're just constantly moving place to place, you'll be close to each of those things. For example, like let's say I was here last year, I'd be here for a week, say a bachelor, and right outside my door is the hiking and the mountain biking and closer to some of the alpine lakes. And then we would drive and camp in Seaside, Oregon, and then we'd surf for a week or two, and then we'd move up to Leavenworth, and then we'd be in the mountains more. So the lifestyle, it makes it easier. When you're going from a home base, we call it a flower petal because it's like our central hub. Those petals get longer and longer. And when I want to go out of Oregon, it takes a lot of work to get out of here. Like most things that I travel to, you're talking 8 hours before I'm even getting to the start of where my normal road trips are. Hence why Salt Lake might be a better hubbing center of the flower petal for us. Okay, and then like with all this comfort and stability has come a lot of debt, or like our overhead is high now. I sit down with Victor at the end of a month and go like, man, do you know what we could be doing with this amount of money? Like the amount of money it costs us to sit still, we can live really large off of when we're traveling. So we're kind of in this part of, which is why I'm making this video. Like I'm pretty sure we're going to launch again. To something big, but it's nice that this time I'm sitting down with Victor and forcing him to be like, hey, we need clarity. We need to be on the same page because when we did it 10 years ago, we were not on the same page. All right, so I had a couple pictures just to show my July road trip to the Sawtooth, to Big Sky, the Black Hills, Ten Sleep, and Driggs, Idaho. It was really cool to get to camp in my favorite spots. I connected with friends. My kids got to travel with friends, which was really exciting. And I did just moderate adventures without Gabi, which was sad, but it was also really good for me to rebuild my chi because what I did notice, and the point of what I noticed, is that in noticing this, it helped me separate fact from fiction. and to figure out what it was that I needed and what the story was I was telling myself. And the only way sometimes you do that is through testing it. But for once, Gabi unfortunately wasn't traveling with me this time. So she's usually a driving force in bigger adventures. And while I love to hike and bike and climb and stuff, sometimes for this summer at least, I needed to do it at a level that wasn't draining me so much and that just felt more playful. And so as she's listening at this, I love doing big adventures with her. I'm about to do another one. If I was going to go do Rainier right now, assuming I had the right shoes, I would be capable and would have been able to summit it. But you know, you have to know where you're at. You have to have your finger on your own pulse sometimes to know what you can handle. So I wanted to throw this because this would be a little nice screenshot in me being of service to you. This was a road trip I took in July. It was so great. Screenshot it. Save it for yourself. Sawtooth to Big Sky, out to Spearfish in the Black Hills, through Ten Sleep, back to Big Sky actually, down to Driggs, and then back out to Bend. Those are 4 of my super secret favorite campgrounds that you can book, or I recommend booking if you love to camp. I'll be booking them next year, I believe, for July again because it was so great. And then in August, we came back and we're all together and we rock climb and we go run or do easy hikes around the river. We mountain bike whoops. We go to hot yoga. We volleyball in the park. Tati has gymnastics. Victor and I go for our sauna ice bath dates. We have great beer and we're in this custom home. I can't complain, which is why I wanted to talk about, well, first let me say, this is the big thing that's different. This is huge, 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 huge. I can't carry the team anymore. In 2015, happy wife, happy mom, happy life. Like it was so easy for me to like want to hike and just hold hands with Tati and be like, and listen to her talk while we go do trails. And for me, that was huge. I was not insane. That was from our very first trip to Colorado, which you'll read about in my book. And I was so happy to be in aspen trees and to see mountains and to be on dirt trails. Like a lot of people love San Diego, but that is not San Diego. San Diego is a big city with lots of traffic, and people say they love San Diego for the beach, but they never go to the beach. And even if you go to the beach, it's usually crowded, and you go surf and it's crowded, and it's such a fast-paced life that there's just so much anger, it seemed like. And I just wanted space. And so I got that. And literally that's the middle picture is also from our first trip to Big Sky in 2015, where I pretty much carried her all the way up that hill just so that I could see what the view was like at the top of the mountain. And it was great. As long as I was happy and I said, we can do this, you guys. I rallied, everybody would get behind me. And then they grew up. And they all had to feel special themselves in their own special and unique way. And it's great. I joke about it, but it's a reality is that your kids grow up and they need to find their own circle. And that's the whole point, right? To give them the tools. But sometimes it doesn't match the amount of independence they want along with the financial capability that they have. There is definitely this gray space, I think. You know, some people might be really good about like, you're 18, I raised you, you're off on your own, go do you. I just wasn't that person. And so if you're that person, that's okay. That's not to say that you shouldn't be. But if you're like that person who's like, man, I really like being around my kids, I kind of want to see them more than once a year at Christmas, then navigating that is something maybe my story can help you with. So let's see. I've been reading this book this summer. Well, I read, so I should say, The Courage to be Disliked and The Courage to be Happy. And it talks a lot about how relationships are your biggest source of joy and your biggest source of suffering. And really, that's maybe what I'm going to try to share with you in like how I'm navigating that. Because let me tell you, couldn't be more true. You know, you want your people. I want my people. I love my people. But if I make my life revolve just around what my people want and need, I will never be happy. just my people alone is not enough. Now, the flip side is that Victor is the opposite of that. All he wants is his people and doesn't want anything else for himself outside of that, really. And that's a totally different side of the joy suffering equation. So I encourage you, if you haven't read this book, read it. I would even love, like, this is a big way that something that I integrate in my coaching a lot. I can create more. An hour of talking is a lot. Create more videos on how I use this, how I implement this, and you can leave that in the comments. But yeah, sum totals, I have to balance what makes me feel alive, which is literally sometimes I could just go hike to the top of mountains, probably by myself. Before I couldn't, before I needed my kids to be there. It's hard for me to say that that's true, that I could do it by myself, because it just happens that anytime if I said I'm going to go hike a mountain, at least one person would be like, well, can I come too? So therefore, by default, I think I'm an introvert, but I might be an extrovert, which in Myers-Briggs is the deciding factor for me. Am I an architect or a commander? I don't know. It's just out there in the wild. I feel pretty happy, but I also like my people around me. I like skiing. I say I would probably be the person if I someday make it big, when I make it big. And I have a house in Aspen or Park City, and I go ski for an hour every morning and then go back to my house. Like, then I'll be able to prove that I can do things by myself. But for right now, I do it with people. I probably will be the person who does go ski by themselves, but every time I'm on a lift, I'm just talking to people the whole time, which would argue that maybe I am an extrovert. I do just need a lot of time to regroup after. So it's food for thought. Think about you. What do you need to feel alive? Okay, but what at the same time brings you meaning? Being a mom brings me meaning. Being adventurous makes me feel alive. Purpose and meaning. These are first world problems. I get it, but I think it's really important, okay? Because my life becomes a lesson, but the reason I can live the life I do is because I have so much knowledge about these other elements of mindfulness, mindset, personality archetypes. Evolution has equipped us with a negativity bias. Your negativity bias controls you more than you probably realize. We are wired to focus on threats, not bliss, because the survival depended on spotting danger, not lounging about in contentment. So why this is so important is like, I get it. I think it's what causes self-doubt is because I feel like I'm going to be judged. People are going to be like, oh my gosh, Robyn, you're so spoiled. Like, you have the best life and you're still sitting here complaining. And it's just that my brain is wired though for growth, right? My brain is not going to sit here and just be like, I have everything I want. It's going to be, it's looking at like, well, what could I do to make it better? It's always wired for improvement is the biggest thing. And I think that's a blessing. That if you're happy all the time, then there's no reason to change or to grow. And I'm going to add a caveat also to that, is that what I catch the other side of the equation, not throwing my husband under the bus, I'm just presenting it for you to be aware of how different people are wired. For him, everything is about people for him, who he is. But there's a problem with that, because then that leads to an expectation that requiring other people to make you happy. If you're a people person, naturally certain Enneagrams like 2s, 4s, to some extent 7s, 9s require others in order to fill their tank. But then that takes you away from self-responsibility. And all the other Enneagrams, we have our other things that we have to manage. A lot of it is the same thing I'm dealing with, where it's like, you have to, there's a term in yoga called aparigraha, where it's like enough. What is enough? And I have to catch that for myself. If I'm always chasing change, always chasing growth, always wanting to improve, especially systems. I'm always trying to improve systems. That sometimes that can make you come across as critical. And you have to really think about this problem that I face, that our minds are like smartphones running on problem mode, always scanning for things to fix, to improve, or to escape. My gene keys are like that too. I'm not going to go too much into gene keys yet, but even if our lives look perfect from the outside, this mindset, especially coupled with any type of trauma, luckily I don't have a ton of trauma, not to the extent Victor does, but I do catch comparison. That definitely gets in my way. That can undermine joy even when life looks ideal. So there was my dripping of coaching. Back to my story. So for me, when I discovered surfing and climbing, it gave me like a problem to actually solve. I don't know if you know about this story. There's a story about the fisherman and the businessman who, from Wall Street, and sits there and talks to him about like, wow, you're so good at catching fish. If you just if you improved your systems and you caught more fish and you hired out, and then you could become a publicly traded stock one day. And he's like, the gist of it is the fisherman's like, yeah, I could go through all that work just for the same end result. And I'm kind of messing up this story and like giving you all the details if you haven't read the story, but just Google the story of the fisherman and the businessman. The point is, I've lived those extremes. I didn't have a publicly traded stock, but like the like rat race mentality of like, get it all, get it all, get it all, with simultaneously part of me wanting still all. I want it all, like I do. But at the same time going, yeah, but I also know what it feels like to just be the fisherman sitting by the shore, enjoying my family, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, not a care in the world, nowhere to be. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Like I've lived both. So I guess that's why in the end, for me, I chase so much in adventure sports, is because it's kind of the only place where I feel like there's that in between where I can balance both. It's mine. What's yours? Think about it. So I look at it as, how can I make sure, this is the question that goes on in my head, how can I make sure it doesn't turn into a source of perpetual dissatisfaction? Okay, that's really what for me, or if I was coaching somebody, I come back to like just values. And, we have these extrinsic values and these intrinsic values. Feel free to screenshot this, and then you can come back and look through them yourself. I take that, I think of what are the values that I'm going, and then I just look at my gene keys. I look at my gene keys a lot. One day I'll probably just be only a gene keys coach. But for right now, I just do it for, as a obsession or a hobby, I guess, but I obsess over it. And so I'll look at like, is this a gene key that's a shadow or a gift? Each of these gene keys, has a negative, has a positive, and then has an enlightenment. But I don't even try to look at the enlightenment. I'm not going to kid myself and think that it's there. And then I take those things, my own personal, is this a shadow or is this a gift? Is this an intrinsic or extrinsic value? And then I talk to my people, because everything's about relationships. And I say, what's your expectation? It's going to be in my next book. Well, maybe 2 books later that I'm going to write. And I look at how it interacts with the dynamics of what I want in life and what I want in terms of meaning my family in life. What I find joy in, passion, purpose, and this meaning. Okay, and Tatiana will say, Tatiana will come to me and be like, I'm bored. I think, well, what's your expectation? You want to do gymnastics. And by bored, she's probably like, part of her's like, I want to go back to travel. And I kind of have to sit there and go like, well, which is it? Do you want to travel? Or if we're going to do gymnastics, we have to sit still here for an entire year. You're going to be bored some days. Or Jiraiya, who loves full-time travel, loves adventure, but like he talks about in Happy Teen, he's really, really good at creating goals and has hobbies, especially creative hobbies, that fuel his purpose, but literally jumps from one to the next to the next. Like he has 5 different instruments he's playing. Then he'll ask me for, I don't even know what, I think he wants a clarinet next. Or like, oh, I want to get into fencing now, Mom. I'm like, really? We have to get fencing stuff now? Come on. And I'm like, what's your expectation? I can get you fencing stuff, or we can look at what the budget is to launch again next year and do the trip that you dreamed of. Like, hey, you need to decide. What's your expectation creates personal responsibility. Isabelle was mentioning, she's like, I want to hire a VA. And I'm like, well, I don't think you make enough money to justify that, but like, let's talk more about what monetary goal you can get to. But hey, it's your money. Let's just look at our budgeting overall and make sure that you have clarity around how much you're trying to save and where you're spending. Gabi's usually come to me that's like, I have no time. I have to work too much. I can't do these projects. And I have to go back to like, hey, what's your expectation? How you can't spread yourself so thin. Maybe you need to decide where your time is most valuable spent, or also just change the inner dialogue. I also added in, I was thinking, and she said, why you put that one in, Mom? But it's more that it's her and I have a strong NI function, which means we have a lot of ideas coming up in our head. And because sometimes we take those ideas and we run with it and start new things before we have a chance to finish it. It's also, so I was thinking we'd go climb this thing, and I have FOMO and I can't say no. And so then it pulls me into like, you're right, we don't really need to work. Let's go do that. Let's go summit that mountain, or let's go do this thing that I really love. And they are fun, but it's pulling us again away from that I have no time conundrum. Danny, will get caught up in like my coworker sucks or my boss sucks, and like this negative energy. And I have to be like, hey, what's your expectation? If you hate having to work for somebody or with these people, like you want to start a business, then that'll bring up that dialogue. Like, what does it take to open your own restaurant? And the point of this, okay, and then Victor, hug me, affirm me. And at some point I have to go like, hey, what's your expectation? Just to be hugged all day? Like, do you have goals? Do we want to like work towards something? And so this is sounds like a rant. Maybe it is a rant. What's your expectation changes the dynamics of your family. It takes personal responsibility, makes everybody have personal responsibility, and then it creates better family dynamics to help everybody understand each other, and then also to collaborate. So that's my secret to how we do it. How do we balance everybody's wants, needs, desires, expectations, while also making time for your own is hard. And so this is what I do some days. Sometimes often, I just crack open a beer. I get out a calendar. I get out my Google Maps, and I just start going like, hey, what do we want to do? What sounds fun? But we have to put it in practicality of like, where do we want to go and when? This is really, if my husband could do this, I think it would save probably 80% of our arguments if he had the ability to say, where do I want to go and when? But his brain doesn't work that way. So we try to find other ways to find balance. But here's when we sit and think about it. And I'm just sharing again how I do it. It might help you and your family to decide what you're trying to balance between dreams and practicality. Maybe relaunching should just say a dream for us, because the hard truth about RV living and full-time travel is this: it can be a really tiring muscle to flex all the time. The planning, the moving, the lack of space, less creature comforts. It's hard. It takes a lot of energy. I was good at it. I still am really good at it. But not everybody's as good at it as I am, including most of my family members. So Maybe it's just something that I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity. I know what, like, I wanted to know, was the grass greener? I can say the grass was greener, but it also needed to be mowed way more than I expected. It was way more work. We've gotten used to a really high standard of living. Like it's it's really first world problems. I get the workouts I want, I get the food I want, I live in the comforts I want. Like it sounds ridiculous. Um, Sports, friends, community memberships, we have all of that. It's cool. The logistics of having to put stuff in storage again, move our stuff. Like I spend so much energy in RVs just moving stuff around. But I got to tell you, like sometimes I do in a house too. So it's just you have more options in a house to move stuff. Big walk-in closets, you can't complain. Victor and I don't have the same mindset or motivation for full-time travel and RV living. And to be honest, I think I might have a new dream or a bigger dream. I do want to be on stages. I want to be on Limitless. I want to stand on Limitless stage and tell people how to step into their dream life because I know what it takes to be courageous and to be bold and to chase your dreams. I want a big retreat property. I want multiple houses all over the place as home bases. Or maybe I will jump because you know what? The beauty of RV living and full-time travel is really amazing. And I get 2 more years with Tatiana to make the best impact that I can with her. And Jiraiya and Tatiana barely remember 2015 to 2017. Those were some of our best years of travel, and they don't have very good memories of it. And it would be great to do a do-over of Europe and Costa Rica, Tour du Mont Blanc with them, do Canada again. Victor even has these places on his bucket list with us: Tahiti, Fiji, Bahamas, Annapurna circuit, Patagonia. Like if I want to go do those things, they take a lot of money and time. And in some ways, when we lived in an RV, I didn't live in an RV to live in an RV. I did it to travel, and so it made it so that when we were in between big trips, our cost of living was so cheap. So cheap. So we could just save up, and then like go travel big. We have some favorites that we just keep looping. Every year we go back to Hawaii, to Tinsley, the Black Hills, Sawtooth, Big Sky. I didn't even mention all my skiing. Like that's 4 months of our life. The 12 to 15 ski resorts we go to are huge. And now I'd be doing it with only 4. That cost a whole lot less than trying to pay for 7. Because if I jumped into any of these big trips, I would make my adult kids have to pay for it now because I believe, personally, value self-responsibility. So, with all that in mind, my goal by next May is if we launch, we need a better safety net. We need to be making enough money that we have either secured a home base, a property, or we have a bigger savings. Because like I said, last time I threw caution to the wind. I was brave, bold, stupid, whatever. And we saved up, we spent it all, we zeroed out, we did it again. But I don't think that was healthy for our marriage, and I wouldn't recommend doing it again. Or I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't recommend you doing it that way. We need to up-level everyone's income digitally by focusing on service, sharing, and self-worth, because I think probably where we've limited ourselves is having is definitely self-worth blocks. We're not important. Our voice doesn't matter. I can't believe this video turned into an hour and a half. And making the most of our time with, this one's a big one for me. I need to really make sure that while I have these big goals, that I'm making the most of the time with my 3 oldest, because a conflict I have is that I want to go jump and do a big trip with Jiraiya and Tati next year. But then I go, oh my gosh, what if I don't see my older kids for a whole year? What if they don't come with me? What if we want to go from 3 months in Europe and then jump over to Russia and then hit Bali, and then like, what if it's a round the world trip and I don't see them? Like, these are first world fears that I really, like, my brain wants to solve. So we'll see. So how? I think the how is important, because every morning when I sit down to do my meditation or script and work on getting my head on straight, I really sit down and ground into working on getting more clarity on my intention. What is it I want? How do I want to feel? I focus on surrendering to the things outside of my control. And I really work on crown chakra and believing even more, trusting the process, surrendering that it all works out. I cannot, when I wrote this book about the last 10 years of my life, I think about, man, if I had kept tallies of how much money we spent on those things, I never could have even fathomed having the money for it, having the ability, coming up with the ideas. But yet it all happened. It all worked out. The money showed up in the account when it needed to. We found the right destination. It all worked out. If I remind myself all the time to just apply that going forward and to take personal responsibility for my inner dialogue. It's not always easy, but to observe what I'm telling myself so that it doesn't cross over in the wrong expectations of others, to lead by example, to take the time to communicate clearly and in a better tone. There's, as an Enneagram 8, I can't wait to share an Enneagram video with you next, but so I questioned whether I was an 8 because when I look at my gene keys, I feel like there's a lot of 6 tendencies. And while there's sometimes when I go, well, maybe I'm an Enneagram SX6, not an SX8. And while it is possible, I'm open to anything. I don't think I have a lot of fears, but I kind of like confront my fears through action as opposed to anxiety. I like to push through instead of like hold back and worry. That doesn't mean I don't worry. I worry a lot, but I still think I'm SX8. The tone of an 8 is a constant battle for me because my kids always say like, it's not how you said, it's what you said. Or it's not what you said, it's how you said it, Mom. And I'm like, I know. And even just like the tone I use with Victor, I think just my tone makes it so he just tunes me out completely. And so learning how to speak is such a big deal for me. Learning how to speak in a tone that, let me know, tell me if I did better today. I have 3 Cancer placements. They're all in my 12th house. If you know anything about astrology, that's the house of the subconscious. So my subconscious self is extremely caring and nurturing and emotional and sensitive. But sometimes how things come out a little bit more like straight to the point. So here we go. The could versus the should versus the will is the how I'm going to do it. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it versus what am I going to do? And I keep that on the forefront of my mind all the time throughout my day. So to wrap this up, what can you do next? Look, if you found this helpful or if it made you curious to learn more, I ask you to leave me a comment. It can be just, this was great, or a comment of like, ask me a question, lead me to the next video. Tell me what to create next. Love for you to subscribe to help us start growing this channel again. And I'd love you to share this with somebody who needs this wisdom in their life. If you are thinking of jumping into this lifestyle, if you need help with leading your family and building better relationships, or you feel stuck in life, I offer coaching. Start off with a coaching call. Let's see what we can do. Defy the Norm Summit. This is the last part. I'm excited about this. This was one of the many things that Gabi's presented, like, let's do this, although she will tell you that it was my idea. I don't remember, but anything's possible. 2-day virtual event for families or individuals who are challenging the status quo in how you live, how you parent, how you learn, and how you thrive. We are going to teach you how to raise strong children, create wellness, and live freely on your terms. So it is totally free to attend. I will have the link down below to share with you and to sign up for it. It's not until late fall or mid-fall in November, but start talking about it now, because you never know how long it takes me to create videos. I've been working on this one for a couple weeks now, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for subscribing, and until the next video, namaste.